28 July, 3 o'clock. So I'm here in Manga, and I'm going to take 1 square meter of sample here, and then later on go over there and take 1 square meter. And I'm deciding whether I should take 3 samples. I think I've been finding out sort of relevant whether you take 1 or 2. I mean, because of the correction factor or yield factor, the way it is, being half of your estimates, it's sort of a wash. If a person wants more accuracy, then having more than 1 sample is good. I think 4 samples is maximum, because when I did it in Munoz, 4 samples, it actually came out to be, the average is 1.6. And then when I did a backtrack, or when I had the actual yield, I went back to what should have been a sample is 1.62. So 1.60 versus 1.62, it's sort of, like I said, it's a wash. It gets merged into the error. So even if I wanted 4 samples, certainly 1 is insufficient, especially when it's biased. So 2 samples is good. So I had to clear a path here so I can go in a little bit deeper. So with my square meter, I'm just gonna shove it in, and then whatever is within the square meter is my sample. So I'm just gonna, I have my waste sample over there. So after I've gathered my sample, then I'll go to the next area. So I've taken the 1 square meter sample, and there are 21 hill in this 1 square meter. So I took a sample here, much farther north from the submer, and there are 22 hills that I took sample from. So hopefully it won't rain tomorrow or tonight, and so we're gonna harvest tomorrow around 10 o'clock probably. So here's the 2 sample from Manga. This one a little bit north of this one, and there's something new that I learned. It's called harvest index or yield index, something like that. So what is this harvest index or yield index? So for example, to make these seeds requires the plants. So a lot of the nutrients goes to the plant before it can make seeds. So the mass of the seeds versus the mass of the plant itself is called the harvest index, and it has a lot of what you call factor. So in order for the seeds to be made, the plant itself needs to extract nutrients from the ground. It needs water, and then temperature, weather, and all of that is factored into the harvest index. There's also called yield index or yield whatever. I just can't remember. So now that I read those, I'm going to measure the mass of the total plants, and then extract the mass of the seeds. Then I would get the harvest index. There's a lot of factor which will be built into the ratio of seeds versus mass, total mass. So I want to start tracking that and learn something from it. So the mass of this bunch is 3.5. So now it would be interesting to know what would be the total mass of the panicles or spikelets when it is all extracted. There was a bit of an uncertainty, so this thing weighs about 0.5, and so yeah, it matches. Basically this thing is 3.5 kilos. So these are the problem with, or challenges with, panicle exertion, where it's booting out late, and this part is really, they're sterile. They're not pollinated because they couldn't pollinate. They're within the sheath. So there's many of these in the sample I took. So just want to show that if they don't exert properly, then a lot of the panicles will be sterile and will not be able to pollinate and become seeds. So that's the challenge with lack of water in the rice field. So there are 261 panicle. The hill is per square meter is 21. So that's how many. So the sample from close by the submersible, the mass is 0.8, or call it 0.9. So divide that by 2, basically it's 4, so 4 metric ton per hectare. It's not even close to 10 tons. So the plastic bin is 0.488. So I'm just gonna add the second sample to the weight machine. So the plastic bin is 0.488. So I'm just gonna add the second sample to the weight machine. So the mass is 4.891. So it's heavier by about a kilo. So let's see what the sample will look like. The second sample, 369 panicles. So that was a lot of work. I mean, doing these takes a while and patience. If you don't have those, well, you don't have those. So you gotta develop one. So the second sample is 1 kilo. So I'm gonna add it to into the bag and total it. So the total 2 square meter is 1.877 kilos. So basically, let's see, that's 0.9. So 0.9 per square meter. 1.8 divided by 2 is 0.8. So basically it will be 4 metric ton per hectare. So we'll see what the result will be tomorrow. 29th July. It's around 11 o'clock now. So it's kind of sunny, however there's cloud cover. It rained cats and dog last night. And we're going to harvest manga. So I'm here in Amyanan. And this portion of the rice field, it's mostly booted out. So I think today most of these would be putting out also. So with a lot of my reading on rice, there is what you call harvest index and yield something, not yield factor. And the harvest index is a ratio of the mass of the hill versus the output, the seeds. Now the thing about this is the harvest index has a wide range of value. When I say wide range, it's 0.3 to 0.5, and my yield factor lies within 0.3 to 0.5. And I'm going to correlate my yield factor against harvest index. Regardless, the mass of a hill versus the panicle, the spikelets, how that relates is the nutrients, the body or teller has to be such that once it reaches a certain stage, it would then move a lot of the nutrients toward making seeds. Now it makes, if the teller puts more effort into building its own body and very little into making seeds, then that is the challenge. How do you make the teller put more effort into making seeds and then filling up the seeds? So it's something that I'm noticing recently, and I've often wondered why the yield factor is like that. And I think I can correlate the yield factor that I have against harvest index, and I have to look at the other one, yield something, and look at that. However, I've started to look into the harvest index and how we can move forward. I can move forward, finding the right variety that it puts more effort into making seeds, not more effort into putting the nutrients into its body building. So and that's one of the challenges. There has to be some understanding, or my understanding, of what seed variety to use. I'm beginning to see that maybe RC640 isn't really the right one yet. However, that's something that I'm starting to see. Like it's just too tall. To me, being tall means it puts a lot of effort into making its own body, as opposed to putting a lot of effort into making seeds. So I'm here in Manga, and getting ready to. The guys are just waiting for the sun to come out a little bit more and burn the moisture off the panicles. This is where I took the samples. Quite frankly, the plant is way too tall. It seems like it's dry enough to be harvested. It's a little bit wet. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. What's the yield today will be. So we're gonna harvest about 1.5 hectare, and this is a 2.1. So we'll see. So just waiting. Here, I want to show something. Why did this happen? So this happened when it was pollinating and the spikelet is open, and the water went inside the spikelet, and it would just destroy this whole thing. That's the reason why I wanted to avoid flowering and pollination during rainy season, where you can't control weather. So That's there's a lot of them like these. Actually, this is panicle exertion challenges. That's all for this one. So that's a lot of challenges growing rice. So they're starting to do it. The other one, yeah, if we don't do it and wait for the rain, that's more challenging. So the Barangay San Pedro is now have 2 harvesters, so which is good. So in theory, they should be able to finish this in 45 minutes. So one harvester will be able to reap 1 hectare per hour. So 2, 1.5, so 45 minutes are done, or half an hour. One of the things you need to look for is waste. And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a lot of waste. So that's so the one that's toppled is still wet. So it's important to avoid the one that's toppled. So they're going to avoid that. Only the standing plants will be harvested, and then once they're done, they're going back. By the time they're done harvesting the tall ones, then they'll be able to get at the one that's been toppled. So yeah, I know the buyer will complain it's too wet. July 30, 5:45 in the morning. The sun is rising up on the horizon. So we harvested about 15,000 square meter, or 1.5 hectare. So the yield here from my estimate, so I took 2 square meter, one here and one down over there, about 50 meters away or 75 meters away. So that's 2 samples. And the average of the sample is 1.9 kilos. So basically divided by 2, so 0.98 or 0.95 kilos per square meter. And using the corrective factor or yield factor of 0.4575 gave me a potential yield of around 6,700 kilos. The actual kilos is 7,800. So there is an error or a discrepancy of about 1,000 kilos. So if you're looking at potential yield because you're doing estimates, that's just it. It's estimate. Because I'm just noticing on this corner because of the grass plants lying down like that. It's hard to bring them up and pick them up. Also, the branches of the mangoes gets in the way of the harvester, so you don't really want to get stuck underneath the branches. I plan on cleaning them a little bit later so that the branches could be cleaned up a little bit. So this is a 21,000 square meters, so we harvested 15,000, so what's left is 6,000 square meters. So these are them. Now the reason why they're planted late is because of El Nino. There's no water. And the submersible keep breaking down. It's due to wear and tear. The submersible, I asked my cousin, and I was informed that the submersible is 6 years old and haven't been serviced. So what I read was submersible should be serviced every 5 years. So it went a year past its service life. So if you own a submersible and you think it'll last forever, I don't know what forever is. But it seems like people in the Philippines thinks forever it should never break down. Oh well, they do break down. So yeah, I wasn't really surprised about the yield being like that. There were multiple challenges on this rice field. Submersible breaking down, and it dried up the land, so unable to flood the rice field properly. And so when it did rain, it rained during flowering, and I've learned that, well, based from past experience, even though I haven't read them, I did notice that during flowering and pollination, and it rained and the spikelet hasn't closed their maw, they would be damaged. Like this is what I've noticed. So anyway, I'm looking for reasons. Again, I can't control the weather, so that's a major impact. And the even though I did the dry fertilizer, dry split fertilizer, even though I did that, and the plants looks healthy. I mean, they're really healthy. And so what caused the yield to be 7,800 kilograms? Quite frankly, I was expecting over 10 tons. So I believe that the weather played a huge factor into the yield losses. So weather again is a big factor into this. I mean, the typhoon is influencing the a lot of my rice field, or a lot of the rice field. The that are flowering, pollinating. The typhoon, I noticed, played a factor into the yield. So, weather. It's good that it rained. I can't say any more than that. Just the way it is. I got what I got. We harvested what we harvested. It's good that we got close to 8 metric ton. That's good that. It's half of my expectation. However, that's the way it is. Weather beyond my control. And so it did what it did. And it impacted yield. So, tri-split fertilizer application done. We broadcasted chicken manure several places. The harvest yield is like so. Half of expected value. You might say that people would say, well, naka-area. That is to say that if you have 1 hectare and you have 100 kabans, that's good. And it's rightly so, it is good. My expectation was over 200 kabans per hectare. However, when I was watching how the weather is unfolding, even though I'm hoping and praying, it is what it is. Hoping and praying is good. It's actually it's really good. One has to hope and pray, because I could have gotten 50 kabans per hectare and I didn't. And I've been noticing that at least 2 people, they were getting 100 kabans per hectare. So that's how it goes. Thanks for watching.